So I wrote this down a couple of weeks ago, and I think we discussed this last time. I said, what would happen if we made love our number one priority and we pretended we were already in heaven? Take a moment to reflect this, and what kind of world will it be if everyone participated in this? We talked about fear is something you experience. That experience sticks around with you. And then so you have this constant battle between the good and the bad, the light and the dark, love and fear. So when you wake up in the morning, have a mindset to where your focus is going to be for that day, even before you sleeping as well, and reflect back on how the day went and what experience you had and what you can do differently the next day. I think we need to replay our day in our thoughts before we sleep. Make a minor adjustment to it. Okay, I can do this maybe, so I don't have to repeat this and experience this, whatever the case may be. And then wake up with that mindset. Okay, I have the answer. I know what's good for me. I know how I can navigate through this issue or problem. I know it's easy said than done, right? But I think if we practice this on a daily basis, I think we can have a great experience.
Sometimes, you see people that are, they seem like they're abounding in love, and then some people that are abounding in fear. What do you think it is that causes that? Is it like day by day, one slowly inches closer to fear, slowly inches to love? Do you think some people's karma is to have love, some is to have fear? How can we more be in love?
Good question. And this, I think, comes down to the individual experience, but because I can give you all the advice here for you to be courageous, face your fears, but you need to take the steps. You need to work on yourself. I can only support whoever that needs help. I can't be in your shoes because I'm not in your shoes. And just living by a great example, for me, it's just having kids. It's like I have to show up in my best version for them every day, right? Because they're watching me, constantly learning from me, and this is how you learn. Back in the day, in the trades, if you want to learn how to become, let's say, a mechanic or a plumber or electrician, you went through the apprenticeship program because you watched someone else. Sure, you're gonna read about it or trying to learn it, reading books, but then the best way to learn is to see someone else that's mastered that experience or program or skill that you're looking to gain. So if you see someone that's not living in fear and you're that person with fear, you can slowly, I think, relax. It's weird because fear is something that it's like sticks to you, right? And it's sometimes painful to peel that off because you don't know how else to feel. And people need to feel something else in order to bring in a new feeling. I know it sounds weird, but I've gone through that experience. Like, okay, I no longer like this feeling. It's holding me back. It's weighing me down, and I cannot operate in this world if I want to achieve something great. I can't be fearful. I went through times when I was younger where, back in the day when you had to call for pizza to place an order, I was so scared to place an order, like to talk to the operator. So I used to write down the script, what I was going to say. Same with asking a girl out on a date. I used to write it down. Like I was fearful because I was fearful of being rejected. And I don't know where that comes from. I haven't really pinpointed it. Maybe something I've experienced at a very young age where I felt rejected and that hurt me maybe. And that feeling stuck with me. But I was able to get past that. And then again, using other people, I'm like, okay, if this person can do it, what's holding me back?
It's funny that I would have a similar, let's say if I really cared about the outcome, this text I was sent to this girl is very important, or what I say on this phone call is very, very important. Let me write out a little script, guide off of it. And look, it's good. Kind of like, it's almost like training, can
No,
help
it's
us.
true. Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. You need some sort of guidance. For example, let's just say you're trying to close a deal with a client and you prepare yourself and you wrote down what you're going to say. You even have a checklist of things you want to cover. And then they throw you a curveball and you're like, where'd that come from? Right. And you're like, don't have an answer for it. I mean, that's okay. you have to be sometimes transparent and say, oh, I'll get back to you on that. Great question. Let me look into that. That's one way of dealing with it. So always be confident in what you're saying and present yourself in a way where, okay, we all make mistakes. We don't know everything, right? We don't know what we don't know. So it's best to be transparent and honest up front. This way you feel at ease because you're not trying to force something to happen, and then the other person's like, okay, no problem. Like, they're being transparent and honest with me. And trust me, honesty takes you a long way in life.
I totally agree. When you're honest, it almost gives the other person permission to be more of their authentic selves.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're being yourself, right? You're being truthful and honest, and
you can trust that. Like you can trust someone. You can tell when someone's putting on, not always, sometimes it's more subtle, but when there's a certain facade, it makes you kind of want to put on your mask as well. Whereas when there's nothing more amazing than you see someone just, for better or for worse, being exactly themselves, and it gives you permission to be yourself. It's
true
thing.
We need to slowly remove that mask because it's not truly who we are deep down, right? And then you can only take it so far. I think we mentioned last time, it's fake it until you make it, but things get real sometimes, right? And then you have to show up as you, because this is what you're sold. Well, you can't sell yourself as the person with the mask, because sooner or later the mask comes off. And if they see the true you and they're like, hold on, which part of this person am I getting right now? Because I did not see this. But if you're truly honest and upfront, even though sometimes truth could be a little bit disappointing, if that's not what they want to hear. Like if there's a deadline and you say, well, I can't do it, but I can do it another time, and they're rushing to get things in market, for example, there's so many moving parts that people don't understand sometimes. So it's better to explain to them upfront than for that being a surprise at the end and then everyone's disappointed.
Man, it's so true. The longer you wait to tell the truth, the more painful it becomes. Like what you were saying, what's worse? If I say I can't have it by Friday, I could have it by Monday. Or if I say I'll have it by Friday, then Friday rolls around, I'm like,
then
no.
It's crickets. And then they don't even hear anything from you. And then Monday you say, here you go. And then they're like reaching out for you. Friday, they're excited in the anticipation that they're going to receive this from you.
What do you think about just going off the business advice you've given us also from the jump, but what do you think about the value? Obviously it's high, but how important is it keeping your word in business, in anything you do, keeping your word to yourself? If I could just throw one comment onto this, I want to hear your perspective. One of my friends said this, which I thought was very wise. He's like, the more that you're able to keep your word, the more that your word has meaning and weight. Now imagine if your word has meaning, imagine what happens when you say something in the universe. It's almost like it's done. If you say it, it's done. But if you give your word and then you fall through on it, your word is weightless. So what's your thoughts on that?
For sure.
And you're someone that keeps your word a lot, I will say. So.
I mean, it's something I've learned to put that responsibility on me, because it adds a bit of pressure, and I'm okay with that, because that if I don't have that pressure, a little bit of a push, then you can procrastinate and fall behind sometimes. So if I say, obviously it has to be within reason. If I say I can deliver this by this date or get it done, or I'll look into this, I'll do it, because now I've set a goal for myself and a challenge to get this done at a certain time. So I think we need that. Or it's same thing with working out. If you skip a week and 1 week becomes 2 weeks, and then you're like, I don't feel like going anymore. But if you add the pressure to yourself, like, no, I gotta go, I can't miss a date. You have to work on that for sure.
Yeah.
It builds trust, and there's a foundation. And once you have solid foundation, you can build anything on top of that, because it's on solid grounds. It's not shaky. It's not going to fall apart. Yeah. And then another thing I personally have noticed is, if you have a client and you're very happy with that client, focus on that one client. Like, do the best job you can do, right? Because what's going to end up happening, and this is through my experience, is they're going to obviously put your work out there. If it's something that you're creating content, in my case, people are going to see that. They're going to say, oh, wow, like, who did this work? And they'll be gladly refer you to another client. And then they will pass the torch onto someone else. I mean, I've said this before, I can spend $1 million on ads. I mean, what's the return on that? I don't know. But with if I put that effort, that same focus on that client and make sure they're happy and everything's been checked off, and I deliver a polished product and they're happy, I'm happy, and then that goes a long way.
What a way smoother ride also. Like that's I'll notice that with my barber, for example. I'll say like I've never had my barber once say, I'm going there 10 years. Hey Alex, do you have anyone else that needs a haircut? Let me know. He just would focus on giving me a good haircut. And now I tell everyone, anyone
Yeah,
asks me a question, hey, go to this
exactly.
guy, go to, and that's where when you I heard of this concept of like 1,000 true fans, or it doesn't matter, whatever. It depends
Mm,
on the size. That's more email marketing, but it's more valuable. I mean, if I were to go and expand this much energy to get 20 clients and then half of them fall through,
yeah,
I might as well have just focused on five. And this is what you were telling, me
yeah,
and Steven from
exactly.
the jump always just focus on these guys.
Yeah,
And it's so true. It's a way better way. You'll do better work. You'll attract
for
more
sure.
of the type of client that you like, and they like you as well, right? So
Hmm.
you have a better life.
And it also shows that you care about what you're doing and you're doing it with love, right? And if you do something with love and especially in the creative field, man, it's just it's limitless, like the stuff you can come up with, right? But if you're doing it because you're chasing the carrot, it's not going to work out. I
It's
always say, follow your dreams and don't chase money, and money will come, right? Just follow like what you're passionate about. The rest will just happen.
What do you think about perhaps I could kind of a semblance of a thought, but like if you're
Mm.
following the dream, and is there moments that things start to happen for you, and then you start to get swayed by the stuff that's coming, and you forget to kind of focus on how you were at the beginning? Like imagine like a painter, he's just painting, painting, doing it out of love. He's attracting things. Now he starts focusing on the money and everything else, and his craft starts to lose. And you know what I mean? Have you ever seen
No,
some? Yeah,
I mean, we go through phases.
yeah.
Just keep reminding yourself of why you got into this, right? In the first place, like, what is it that you're doing that's serving others? For me, it's like, how can I help my clients if they're getting married, if I'm doing a wedding? Like, how can I make their experience special? It's the most special day of their lives. Like, how can I make it extra special, right? So if I can provide that, they're going to remember how they felt, right? Obviously the work progresses, it gets better every time because the more time you spend, more experience, your craft just gets better and better. Besides that, they're going to remember how you made them feel that day. It's as crazy as it sounds, like it's a hectic day. The groom's nervous, the bride's nervous, there's family, there's guests. You need to be on your A game when you show up, right? And again, that comes from experience. I've done weddings where it's 25 people. I've done weddings where it's almost close to 600 people. And I've gained different experiences from each one. But with time and experience, like focus on what the client wants and then make sure they're happy. And being flexible, like as a person that I am, of being flexible, you're able to adapt to certain situations. And you're not just saying, oh no, I don't do this because this is my way. It doesn't work like that,
Yeah.
right? You have to be a bit flexible and then meet your client, make sure that they have their needs as well.
Have you ever had moments where you understand to the like you really understand what the client wants, but maybe there's a time where you have to step in and say, I understand this is what you want, but not out of ego, but my professional opinion is this is what you should do. Have you ever had that? Like, how does that kind
I
of
have
look
a
like?
most weddings are in the summer, and we show up to the photo session at a park, and it's scorching hot. Like the groom's wearing a suit or a
Yeah.
tuxedo, right? And the bride's wearing this heavy dress. So as soon as they get out of the limo, it's like, oh man, it's hot, and you got to take that into consideration because you can only push them so far. And I've had cases where like 10 minutes in, they're like, no, we got to go. I'm like, listen, I understand. Can you last another 10 minutes? Like stay in the shade, hydrate, do what you need to do. Because trust me, when you look back at this, you're going to say, I wish I had that 10 extra minutes.
Yeah.
Because at the time, now you're feeling hot or humid, whatever the case may be. But 5 years from now, you're not going to remember how hot it was. Like you're going to forget that part. You're just going to look back at the finished product and say, I wish we had 10 extra minutes to maybe cover different angles. Yeah,
That's a good
in that
example.
case, you do need to sometimes step in and give them some advice to, navigate them in the right direction. without being extra pushy.
That's a really good example because they are also paying for your opinion,
Expertise, yeah.
expertise,
No,
your
for sure.
second perspective. If you could, if you could nail down business in like, this is a crazy question. I don't know if you could put down on like one page all the advices, all the lessons that you've learned, like business, anything. What are some of the key concepts that would be at the forefront of that page?
So going back to what I said earlier, make sure whatever you're doing out of passion and love, and you're not doing it because it's shiny and some carrots dangling in front of you. Because it's going to be obvious, not just to other people, that you're just doing this for money. You're going to reach a point where like there's no drive, no purpose, because you're just chasing this illusion of money. But if you're passionate about what you're doing and it's all about, that's your focus, the money is going to come regardless. Someone's going to exchange your service, which is the energy that you're providing. That energy is going to come back to you as currency, as money, or it could be something else too, right? I'm also considering, let's just say, for example, it's a video for a resort or destination. I'm also good with talking to that client and saying, why don't you provide me, vacation in return for my services? So let's barter, right? I'll give you my cost, right? They're going to spend that money regardless, right? To them, they have extra rooms, extra dates that they can give away. It's not going to cost them anything.
Yeah.
But if I can help them and they can help me, and that's a great exchange in service, right? So that's another thing you can also negotiate in your prices, and you'll, trust me, stand out from the other proposals that they're receiving as well. Because at the end of the day, like, I love to travel, right? So if I'm going to put this money aside to save and put towards travel, I have to get the money first to do that. But then if I can go straight to the source and say, listen, let's exchange this, let's make some sort of deal. Like, give me 1 week vacation for my family, and then in exchange, I'll provide video services at my cost price.
If we can come up with a sales pitch right live on him, why not have a person that can get lists? So if you can get a list of some of the, sales director, marketing director, manager of all various resorts, okay, and obviously they live thousands of kilometers away, these resorts, how would you go about positioning a pitch to them? Like, how would you position a cold outreach to these guys? Maybe record a video.
Yeah, recording a video, or if I have any examples, which I do, I would show part of that, my portfolio, that I've done similar videos. Or I can be transparent up front and say, I've been in this industry, I've done so many videos in other industries. Now I want to get into travel, right? And that's an area I want to expand into. Are you willing to, meet me halfway? Provide some sort of service for my service.
That'd be awesome. Maybe I'm seeing like a video like, hey, this is Serge. And then you could have, here's some of the things I've done. While you're talking, some videos pop up, like just a little background, little pitch. This is what I'd love to do. We come down here, blah, blah, blah. Damn, that could actually probably work.
So there was this photographer, loves to travel, had some examples of places she's been. She reached out to all these hotels and companies and resorts and said, are you willing to pay for my travel? And I'll take tons of pictures. And here's an example of like my quality of my work in exchange for me to travel to these destinations. And sure enough, some companies said, okay, and they paid her on top as well. So it was a win-win.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So they took photos for what was the type of company? Like for a hotel or a resort?
A hotel, resort, destinations, things like that.
It's such a fair deal. Like, it's so beautiful.
It can also happen to restaurants.
Yeah.
Right? You go to a restaurant and say, I'll do a promo video for you. Give me 1 day out of the month for me to bring my family here.
What's the cost for them, right?
Exactly.
You weren't going to go there really unless...
Right? Or, I mean, most influencers these days kind of work that way, right? So it's like that, but on more on the video production side of things.
Yeah. And I appreciate it. It's like old school. It's very human, like
100%.
I'm
and you build this more solid trust with the person you're in, because again, you're not after the money.
It's not transactional, right? It's like
Right.
relational, which is
Yeah.
better. I like what you're talking about. When a person is doing it for love, just for the love of the game, because they want to do it, or they have a really intense focus, there's something about that person that you can tell. You can tell that they're, and that almost you people resonate with that. You want to be around that person. This person's not doing it just for what they can get out of it. They're almost doing it to give. Like they just
Yeah.
want to, even if it's an athlete, he just wants to give his best performance on the field because he just loves it, right? Like a
Exactly.
dance or whatever
Yeah.
it is. You could almost see it in a person, right? Their eyes, their body language, and it's such a
100%.
contagious thing to be
Yeah.
around.
Body language is number one. Again, just being aware of how you're carrying yourself throughout the day. Are you like hunched down? Are you smiling, making eye contact? These are very important. And just making the other person feel special. Even if you're walking down the hall, just passing someone, just smile and just nod. You don't know who you're passing by. It could be it could be the president of
Yeah.
some company, and then next time they see you, they're like, "Oh yeah, that guy greeted me. I like the way he presented himself." Again, it goes back to how people feel when they're around you.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing this
Yeah.
for sake of gaining anything. No, it's like just being that makes me feel good, right? Because I know I've experienced the other side, being shy and afraid and insecure. So if I can come out of my shell and exchange that and treat the person in front of me the same way, maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe I just just a smile can help.
I remember when, I don't know if I ever shared this story, but I remember there was a time like 4 or 5 years ago, fresh out of uni, a little bit of student debt, no money to my name. I was going on a long walk. I was like 3 hours into the walk.
Oh wow, okay.
And I stopped to get some water. It was a hot day, early September, around this time. And they didn't accept debit. It was only credit. I just had to debit a couple dollars on it. I'm like, ah, it's all good. Some older gentleman sees that. He's like, oh, like I'll get it for you. I was like, no, like, come on, don't worry. He's like, no, like I insist. And I said, got me the water. I was like so grateful. I'm like, thank you. Like I really appreciate it. I got almost a little emotional after because it wasn't just about the water. It was this idea of this guy. He's going through something, going through his hero's journey. Some random stranger cares enough to give some of their hard-earned money to help, and it's
and look
so
at the
touching.
impact that had, because now you remember that story, and then
Yeah.
that kind of stories like are the ones that you want to follow in your instinct and do the same for other people, because it made you feel good, it helped you out. If you wake up every day and pretend you're already in heaven, like, and you're treating everyone and you're looking at them as choosing to see the good side in people instead of so and so, like without judging them and putting the past behind you, and then taking a fresh new start. And if everyone did this, everyone helped each other, everyone I think would rise and shine, right? People would get noticed more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will it be a happier place? So what do you think about, like, touching on what you were saying there, the idea of, if you view someone, even in your subconscious, if you view them as their highest self and what they could be, you almost kind of like the quantum theory, like you almost bring out that side of them more than if you look at them
100%,
for their
exactly.
flaws.
That looking at that person and then looking at a new perspective and the place of love, man, it's so powerful. Whereas if you're looking at them and judging them and then putting them down in your head, or again, it's coming from your subconscious programming, but it's because someone did that to you, so you're not automatically comes out. Whatever that person does, you're always gonna see the worst in them. We see things the way we are and not how they are. My programming tells me to always look at this imperfection or insecurity or scarcity in someone else. I'm only gonna see that, and there'll be enough evidence for me to go through my day focusing on stuff like that. Whereas if I wake up in the morning and I say, I'm only going to see the good in people, because we all deserve a second chance or third chance, but whatever round you're at, we all deserve a new start, a new beginning. And then have that in mind, right? And don't judge person because they're on the street, and don't judge person because they're rich and famous either, because you don't know how hard they work to get there.
Yeah. Like, there's that one verse, he who's without sin cast the first stone,
No, 100%.
And when we judge someone else, we're oftentimes more so, we can't always see this, but we're oftentimes more so saying more about ourselves than about themselves. If I'm judging, why is that guy so lazy? Why is that guy so lazy? maybe it's because sometimes I'm lazy, and
Yeah,
I'm judging myself, right? So
it's true. It's true. And then if you actually listen to someone, you know, talk about themselves, it's like, how are they presenting themselves? What are they talking about? Are they pointing out wrong things in other people? Are they talking positively? Are they coming from a good heart, or they just want to prove something for the sake of proving something because they feel a little insecure? So then they have to always, the tiny dog that barks a lot
yeah,
versus the big dog just shows up.
yeah, yeah.
You see it in cartoons. The truth of your insecurities don't come out, so you almost like project this outwards onto people.
Isn't that so crazy? And like the more that you try to suppress your insecurities rather than embrace them, kind of you always say greatest strength is your greatest weakness,
Yeah, it's
right?
true.
So the more if these insecurities, these weaknesses, I'm like stuffing them down rather than either bringing them to the light and realizing, oh, it's not that bad,
No,
or
it's
right,
not,
yeah,
right? And then going to back to what I was saying earlier before we started the session is the light will expose the darkness, meaning you need to turn the light on in order to see the mess around you, right? A lot of times people are scared to do that.
yeah,
They're scared to go inwards and see what they need to work on. So they'll always externalize things. So if you're in the dark and you turn the light on, and you find yourself in a scary place, like, oh my god, like look at all this mess. The room is a mess, and then you open another door, you turn the lights on there, and it's everything you've been carrying, holding on to. You finally you see it. The light is
yeah,
exposing that now.
yeah,
So you need to work on that one step at a time. Like it's all in your program in your head. If you can get past that, we label ourselves or we label someone else.
yeah,
Labeling could be anything, right? So if I stuck a label on you and say, "Oh, Alex is this guy. He's your background. He's Macedonian," and all these programmings that come out for me to recognize you, but
yeah,
it's all a label, right? I mean, we're here talking, but that's the last thing I'm going through in my mind because I'm seeing you how I would like to be seen as this human being, and we're all that at the core level, right? We're not human doings. Like we're not. I don't know why we live in always doing. So if we operate from that level, you're just being, right? I can't
focus.
explain that.
It's so true. Focus
It's
more
like
on
you're
being.
breathing, right? How can you explain someone you have to breathe?
That's something to be conscious of too, eh? So many times we just hold in our breaths, and
Yeah.
it's like,
And then you're gonna see yourself as how I described you and labeled you when that's not even true. That's my perspective of you.
especially what's really hard for people is I've experienced everyone has experienced this for sure. Is if some stranger on the street comes up and says you're this and that, I don't really care. But if
Mm.
those toxic, whether it's sometimes growing up, I was blessed out of amazing parents, or
Mm.
relationships or friendships where someone that you care about, like and trust, is now labeling you as something negative. That's a hard one, especially imagine as a kid growing up,
For
right?
sure, for
Those
sure.
are
And
things to
then,
be
I
conscious of.
mean, if it's coming from your parents and they're saying you're lazy and you're no good, that's gonna hurt, of course, right? And that's gonna stick. So part of the trauma could be that, because they're doing their best from the level of awareness they have and from the time like whatever they experience, and you just have to see past that and forgive them for saying those things and don't take it personal because that's not who you are at the core.
And also try not to you yourself label other people, because if
A hundred
if that
percent. And
happened to
then,
you, then
well,
break
bullies
the pattern.
bully because of their insecurities, right? Trying to act tough because of what they're experiencing at home. They have to get release that onto someone else. So they usually pick on someone that's not on that level. Like a bully will not go bully another bully because there's going to be challenge for them. So they'll pick on someone that's usually quiet and usually like minding their own business.
You mentioned it earlier about the insecurities. You open up the room
Hmm.
and you see like this giant mess. You turn on the light. Sometimes people will, oh, I don't want to see that. Turn it back off. Stuff it there. But I think the more that we're able to enter the darkness, and I feel like you can train for that. And I think, for example, we were talking about this last time too, but um, let's say you tell yourself, I'm going to do, let's say the most push-ups you've ever done is 100. And you tell yourself, I'm going to do 200 push-ups. Not all at once, but I'm going to get it done. Or you tell yourself, most you've meditated is 10 minutes. Like, I'm going to do 30 minutes. And you actually do it. In order to fulfill that, there's going to be a lot of shit, a lot of darkness you got to get through, a lot of, I hate this. This is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I feel like the more we could train that muscle, the more we can develop as humans and people, because then we're able to look into that dark crevices of who we are, all of our demons, the shadows, and kind of look at that. And once you look at it, like the Medusa, like it kind of freezes. It just, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah, well, it's expansion, right? And anytime there's expansion, you're going to an area you're not familiar with. So even if you're trying to push yourself, you're automatically, subconsciously doubting yourself. You're telling yourself, oh, I've never done this before. Like, why am I even putting myself through this experience? But once you go through that, being uncomfortable, and you've gone through that experience, like, oh, that wasn't too bad. 90% of the time, what you tell yourself is like, it's not even true, right? But then once you go through that, you just like, that's it. You have to do it. I mean, a baby, when they're trying to walk, they're not going to give up after they fall, right? They're going to get up again and try again.
Yeah.
They're going to fall. They're going to get up and try again until they're walking, and they're going to continue walking. That's it. I mean, trying to ride a bike for the first time, you're going to fall. You're going to scrape your knee, but you've done enough times to say, oh, now I can subconsciously do it. So I think going back to what I said one time was, try to be comfortable in being uncomfortable. Because whatever comes your way, if you have that mindset, you're good.
I think we even have like deep down some sort of affinity for those uncomfortable moments. Like part of us even wants that. They want that resistance, because we know that's where we grow. If we're not facing any resistance, that's almost where we start to like do some crazy things or self-sabotage to feel that feeling, because we can't stand just nothingness. You know, there has to be something.
You're going to go into unfamiliar territories and areas. It could be in your relationship, it could be a work situation, it could be friendship, anything, just unfamiliar territories. And history shows only the brave that are willing, the front runners, that will take that light into that dark area. And then the rest will follow. It's like the 4-minute mile. As soon as one person broke it, they're like, oh, all of a sudden everyone's confidence level went up, and then everyone started breaking the record.
It's so crazy.
Right? So it's not seeing is believing. It's believing is seeing. Because you're believing in something, and then your mind is saying, I can do this. You're seeing it here first, and you're feeling it, and you're experiencing it. But other people just sit back and watch other people do things. And, oh, okay, if they can do it, I can do it too. So they get a boost of confidence that way, which is fine, right? But there's always people that are sometimes thinking way out of the box, and then they're like, oh no, that's not possible. We can't have that, because everyone's too comfortable in being this what they think normal is. Yeah. If you stay normal, nothing's happening. You're just average. There's no room for more growth.
If anything, what's that law of entropy? You can't. I mean, if you're stagnant, you're just gonna.
That's it.
Die, right? Like there is no stagnancy. Except believing is seeing. That must be so amazing for that first person, like the guy who broke the 4-minute mile, or even someone who's from a circle that has never had real financial abundance, or has never had, I don't know, etc. Whatever, that hero that descends and he has the internal belief or the belief in God, really, to say, this can happen.
What is faith, right? Believing in something that you can't see.
In the old days,
right?
That's how people. There's a Bible verse like in the old days. That's how the people got their reputation, is through faith. And that's something. Are we lacking that today? Is that
no? 100%, because it's become this materialistic world that, in order to feel a certain way, you need to have certain things in your life. And it's so backwards, because if you're already, fulfilled those feelings in your heart, those things will automatically show up, and they'll show up without even you knowing how they came into your life.
How does one feel them?
It's like, again, inner fulfillment. It's like you come from a place of abundance, not lack.
I don't need this to feel this. I can feel it.
You can feel it without even having it. And guess what? If you're feeling that already without you having it, that will come into your life.
That's like a crazy.
This is like a magnetic force that brings the reality and makes it real.
I got just thoughts quickly. It's,
It's
it's,
true, right? We've been thinking with this too much. It's great. You need this to analyze situations, but don't let this guide you. It's not your navigation. This is your navigation, right? Your heart.
I think because we have such an instant gratification generation now, things come quick. Before, it was like, I mean, not to say the back in my day stuff, but let's just honestly think. You download a song on iMesh, it takes about 6 minutes to download. It might not work. You're building a little faith. It's obviously a little example, but 500 years ago, the exercise of we don't have the material things, like we were in this spiritual building faith realm. Now it's like I want this, boom. I want food, boom. Everything, it's all instant gratification. So there's no waiting period that usually in the past allowed us to develop our faith. Now it's just
So
like that.
let me
Yeah.
ask you a question then. The animals that we go visit in the zoos, right? There's so many new zoos out there. Do you think the ones in the zoo are more powerful or the ones out in the wild?
Oh, in the wild.
In the wild.
Yeah.
So what we've done to ourselves is we've created this false reality where we've put ourselves in a zoo that we're only operating within those boundaries.
Why? Probably out of fear or just
No,
who knows?
because we're like want to be comfortable and not realizing that okay, someone else created this and then so now I have to live it within this house or neighborhood, but then you're tied into the materialist world that now you have to keep up with. So if you take that away, do you lose your power? Or are you
Ooh.
creating this false world for yourself and you're giving power to something material when your true power is not in that environment? Again, take two lions. One's raised in a zoo, one's in the wild. The one in the wild, it's in natural habitat. We're not meant to be put in this small, I mean,
Yeah.
in a room. I mean, you look at downtown Toronto, look at the condos, how people are living in this small box, right?
Go crazy in there.
And yeah, and then this is, I think, part of it, and I'm not an expert, part of why mental health is such a big issue now is because we're so moving away from our natural habitat that we're disconnecting from nature. We're part of that ecosystem, but we're now living in this concrete world where even our shoes, we're not connected to the ground, right? So grounding, we live in the northern hemisphere. We don't get much sun. So this is why we have to go on vacation. So we're misplaced, but we need to come back to our original environment to feel that our strength.
So why is it that we've been sold, or why is it that we believe this lie? Not to sound too negative conspiracy theory, but in all honesty, right? Okay. We know that it's important to go out there, walk in nature, barefoot, get some sunshine, be around members of the family. But this whole idea that you have to work 40 hours a week, 9 to 5,
Yeah, it doesn't make
takes
sense.
it away. And what's crazy, how many people that work a 9 to 5 are being productive for 40 hours? You can probably get that stuff done in 10 hours.
Yeah, and there
you
was
can
a
go
study
grind.
on that too, right? Somewhere in, I think, Finland or Sweden, they did a study. And so I think in one of those countries now, it's 6 hour days and four work days instead of 5 because they saw that productivity level was the same. Like they didn't lose anything.
It's like Parkinson's law, right?
It's like if you're working 8 hours, you're stretching your work at this point, right? I'd rather have employees or people that I can trust get the job done versus how long it's going to take to get it done.
Exactly.
Like, here you go. Here's what needs to be get done, and then get it done. Don't stretch it out because now you have to work 8 hours. And then this is why I won't hire anyone full time. I'll just bring in contractors because they're
best way.
focusing on what they need to get done. So if the project comes out, here we go. This is what I need done. It's done. That's it. You
Yeah.
get it done in 2 days, great. You get it done in 3 days, it's up to you. As long as you're performing well and giving great quality, I don't care how long it takes. Our way of living, we lived in communities before where everyone relied on each other. There was support. Now, good luck finding that.
Even, I mean, I don't know if this might not be politically correct, if I can go, but I think it's honest. It's honest, which is part of there's a benefit and a drawback of being in a multicultural society. I think I'm blessed that I was raised in the most multicultural city maybe ever in the history of Earth, because it's like you've traveled the whole world. It's amazing. But at the same time, you see in Canada, especially Toronto, there is no common social fabric. There's no pride in being a Canadian, you know. There's no, it's like everyone's just in little small circles. But you go back home, you know, and people cling like this to their identity, and you have a bit of that shared social fabric that helps you. It's just human, you know. You're talking about experiencing something, not needing something. So, for example, you already have this feeling with or without the external thing. So you're more likely to draw more of that feeling. Talk about, I think, in like levels of desires, let's say that we really desire love and belonging, and we've externalized that to think that that means that we need to achieve this reward and achieve this person and this and that. So if this thing way out there looks like it might not work, we think we're not going to have the love and belonging, right? But if we just focus on this,
Where's that coming from, right? It's your programming. I mean, you're bombarded every day with ads. Right? It's sad to see that companies spend billions of dollars for you to convince to decide which pop. I'm not going to name the names. Everyone knows which pop to drink over the other.
same stuff.
And they're both owned by the same company, which is ridiculous. Or what running shoes to wear, right? They're all owned by the same company, it's just like different brands, right? So if one does well, right, and that's great, and one's not doing so well, so the marketing money now goes to this company, and they bring up their sales, and then so it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But they're spending billions of dollars to convince you which pop to drink or what running shoes to have. Like, it doesn't make sense. So we can't have billionaires and then people still dying of starvation or famine. Something doesn't line up.
Let's find some way to make $1 billion, and then we can.
Well, if you're a billionaire and you're listening to this, give your money away. Stop holding on to it, right?
Damn. You know what I was on the theme of advertising? It's funny because technically the line of work I'm in really is marketing. If I work with someone, it's because they want to get their message heard. I think there's something beautiful to getting, if someone doesn't have their message fully articulated, to help them articulate it and get something of a presence up there. Mm-hmm. But I think if we're spending most of our money on, like, you know, those two companies, the soft drink companies, back and forth, it's such a disservice to society. I'd rather focus my energy on being on a 0 to 1 industry where it's like Elon building Tesla. Tesla has $0 of a marketing budget. They just focus on building something good that they think will help the world and trust that that will sell itself. Like, that would really be an awesome.
It's true. And whatever you're doing, do it with love and passion, and let that be the driving force, right? And if people will see that, and they'll invest in your company or your business, right? Because they know their money's safe, their investment is safe, because you're not out there chasing the fake illusion. Yeah. You're doing it to contribute something to society, or B, to provide a service that everyone will get to educate themselves on, or whatever the case may be.
And they believe in the mission that you believe in. Maybe that's why they'll invest too.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Believe in the company.
I mean, I don't have to believe in me so much when I'm doing something, but if I see that you believe in yourself and you're very passionate, I'll invest in that person.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have to believe you, as long as you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
You see that a lot where people will invest in some of these tech startups, and it's like, well, I don't really understand.
Or you don't understand.
Yeah.
Right?
But I've seen that it seems like it should be a lot more. Like, it seems like it should be, we're investing into a fund. We have all these calculations, but I've heard, just from what I've seen from some of these investors, like their comments and interviews, it seems to come down to, we really believe in the person, the guy behind it. We believe in him, and that's why we invested. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, that turns out to be the most likely thing.
It's true. And I've heard of other places too where people do business with people. Mm-hmm. So if you're that person and you just happen to go to another company they'll follow you. They'll
Yeah.
go to wherever you go, right? Because they've have that experience and it's been a positive experience. So people work with people. Like they don't look at the brand or the name. It's like, no, I want to work with that person because they made me feel great and it was a great experience at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's less stress for them because if it's something that they need to get done, but they don't know how to do it, so they don't want to. They have no expertise in that area, and you actually solved the problem for them, and you did a great job doing it, and they saw the results. They'll come back to you.
Yeah. Like,
It goes without saying.
absolutely. This person or this brand, this company has fulfilled this need, this desire.
Yeah.
I trust them. I don't have to waste extra processing speed trying to find someone else. Like, they do a good
Yeah.
job.
And then look into that company's mission, vision, values as well, right? What are they trying to achieve? Like, I don't want to go back to the companies I said earlier, but you know, the soft drink companies, like, what's the ingredient in there? It's garbage. Their whole premise of what they're selling is garbage. And no offense to anyone that drinks that stuff, but you know, you can't have a great mission and vision
Yeah.
to what are you contributing? More unhealthy people and then what? So then that it's the same company that you also own in the pharmaceutical industry. So now you're double dipping and tapping in both industries.
Probably owned by the same people.
Exactly.
Not
Again, I'm not judging anyone. This
Yeah.
is like realization that I've come to. It's like, hold on, what am I putting in my body? If my goal is to be the best version of me, right? What am I consuming?
You know what's really interesting? The idea, bringing to this, the idea of how the stories that you tell yourselves and tell others can become your reality and how easily these brands can manipulate it. For example,
100%.
me working at one of these soft drink
Yeah, you
companies,
told me.
and the guy, it's funny, I respect it. I like the guy as a person, but when I brought up to him, like my higher up, my boss, I was like, hey, like, like, you think we're doing anything good here? Like, honestly, he got very defensive, and he fully had an internalized belief, which was, well, what we provide is pivotal to some of families' most important moments, Super Bowls, birthdays. We're a vital part of that. So we're actually here to give people like good experiences and good times. I was just like,
I mean, you can still achieve that with water,
I was like,
right?
you're sipping the Kool-Aid that they gave you from head office,
Right?
because you're right. You could, and I was thinking, I'm like, you could have all these gatherings. It's just marketing, because that's how they market to us.
Yeah.
It's like they advertise everyone having fun.
Anytime you see a holiday come up
Yeah.
and you see their ads.
What if we have fresh fruit, grilled meat, lamb kebabs,
Yeah,
water?
yeah.
It'd be a 10 times better party.
Watermelons.
Watermelon.
The true hydration, right?
Yeah, we don't need
Instead of
this
fake stuff that your body
How
doesn't
the
even know how
hell?
to process. And so it stores it in areas that you don't want. And then people complain to why is it so hard to, be in shape and lose the weight? What are you putting in your body? It's a simple question. What are you putting in your body? Same with your mind, right? Garbage in, garbage out. Garbage in, garbage out.
It's so simple. In law of
So
universe,
it's mind, body, soul connection, right? All three of them have to be performing at their highest. If one is not performing, that doesn't align, right?
for yourself, do you lead with one? Like, do you say, let me nourish my soul first, then mind, then body? Or are you kind of like, it's like all three plants that all need watering at the same time?
Yeah, but all three. So it used to be more my physical, so just being in great shape and being, active and looking slim. That was my priority. But then I'm not good to anyone just being physical. Like, where's my spiritual part? Not just spiritual, but the way I was thinking as well. If I was thinking just garbage stuff all day, whereas if you're thinking positive thoughts, doing the right thing, and then also knowing that there's a higher power that's operating this whole thing, then I think you're in a better position than just saying, "Oh, I'll just work on one thing and not the other." Right? You need all three.
I think sometimes that moral dilemmas can actually ruin people's lives mentally and physically. And once we understand that there is a higher power, it makes us a little more aware of our actions and understanding that you can't get away with evil. You really can't.
No, for sure. Again, like so many distractions in life, especially these days, and It's everywhere we go. This is why it's very important to what you're focusing on, because you just shield yourself from all the other nonsense and just extra noise that, you can start by not listening to the news and turn that off, because, that's just going to be followed by tons of advertising that you really don't need, right? I always say this, if something is really good for you, you don't need to advertise it, because it'll go through word of mouth. Like if I ate something healthy and I felt good, I'm going to say, and you're going to ask like, hey, what's your secret? What are you doing? I'm going to tell you, and I'm also going to share that information with you. Yeah. And you're going to do the same, because you're going to feel the results. So I always question, like, why are you spending billions of dollars trying to convince someone to eat in a certain way or live in a certain way, when you know deep down, like, you can't be naive. That stuff's not good for you, or what it's not good for him. It's like cigarettes back in the day. Even doctors smoke cigarettes in their clinics.
Do you think that the water companies, either with government funding or something, need to counteract with even better marketing? And maybe that's where we can come in. We always said, create for that one company.
My son was 6 years old, and he said one day, he goes, Dad, why have commercials for stuff that's not good for you? This is coming from a 6-year-old.
That's how you know he's your son.
Yeah, and I said, well, that's a good question. Yeah, well, why is that? Right? Think about it. Why are we spending money on commercial and stuff that's not good for us? If it's not natural, if God didn't create it, and you can't pronounce any of the ingredients written on the back of the label, don't consume it. That's it. If you can follow those simple steps, you'll be good.
It seems like those things should be outlawed. I'm very definitely libertarian, open, free market, but there's just no benefit to those things. I don't even know why they're legal. Lobbyists, they pay the lobbyists,
Probably. Again, not to go off topic, but it's under the same umbrella of companies they own. It's their portfolio.
What's the average person to do? Boycott by not buying them.
Well, boycotting is a first step, and just educate people, right? If you educate people the same way you're educating in schools, and the more people know, more conscious they will be on what kind of decisions they're making based on what's good for them, right? No one's going to make a decision and do stuff that's bad for them and harming them. Like, it doesn't make sense. You're doing it because, like you said, they're selling this great ad, but people smiling, having a good time, or cheers, whatever the case may be. They're selling that fake image of that if you drink this product, you're going to be happy. And it's so far from the truth.
And sometimes I feel like it's the people that, we're all guilty of it. But how does one find their authentic self? Because I feel like the more that you're in that self, on the right mission, on the right purpose, these ads don't get to you.
It's just noise. You need to know how to block out that noise and focus and stay in your lane. Like, what's important to you, right? When you wake up.
How does someone find out what their lane is?
Oh, you eventually know. Because if you're trying to figure out what your purpose is, first figure out what is not your purpose. Get rid of all that stuff. Just wasting time. Like, time is the most valuable asset anyone can have. Like, you can't buy time back. You can't go back in time.
Yeah.
Right. So how are you going to spend your days? How are you going to spend your weeks, your years? We all have an expiry date. So is it going to be doing stuff you don't like, or pursuing something that really resonates with you? And once you get rid of all that noise, all that garbage, clean yourself up, you'll truly understand who you are, and then you'll see the beauty and stuff, and then you'll resonate with something that, even if it's a passion of cooking or baking, and you're really good at that, start there. That's it. Doesn't have to be something extraordinary that you've never done before, or you've seen someone do it and then you want to follow someone else. No, do something that you're really passionate about, and you'll find your purpose once you get rid of all the other nonsense that's not serving you.
That's exactly it.
Go back to when you were a child. What made you happy? Whatever that was, go back to that mindset.
You weren't doing things to receive some outcome. You're just doing
something made you happy while you were doing it, and you're playing or whatever the case may be, or you saw something that someone else was doing and you were like, wow, when I grow up, I want to do that. Life got in the way, and the reality set in, and you're like, okay, I got to go to school, I got to pay bills, I got to make a living. That inner child is still there. It never goes away, right? So once you tap into that inner child, you'll get that knowing where, okay, I got to make a change.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have any regrets afterwards, right? Again, you can't go back in time. You can't buy time. You can't change time.
Only, what's that one verse? Something to the tune of only the little ones, only the kids will experience the kingdom of heaven. You
Yeah.
have to become like a child to.
You have to be like a child to enter that state, and it's very true. Be playful, right? Look at kids; they're always and I've got two, right? They're always in the moment. They're being playful. They're in the moment, and if they fall, trip, they get up, they cry, but they shake it off. It's behind them. They don't sit there and say, "I remember that time I fell a month ago. I still feel sad about that." It doesn't even cross their mind, right? So it's once they get into the programming or societal programming, it's like, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that at this age, or you need to go to school and learn something. And then if you don't learn something, you're not going to find a job. If you don't find a job, you're not going to be able to afford anything. If you can't afford anything, you're going to be left on the streets. How messed up is that? That's so far from the truth, right?
Such worst case thinking.
Yeah.
But humanity is the only species that can have that foresight, either for wretchedness or for good. But we can premeditate those things, and I guess it is good to have some meditation, think and forecast things. But if you're always forecasting things, you're never actually going to be able to do.
In school, they give you lessons and they'll test you at the end. Where in life, it will test you first, and there's a lesson in that.
And that's more realistic.
And that's more realistic.
That'd be cool to see a school that functions that way. How would that work?
You just get a test. So you're forced now to learn what it is you're being tested on. There's a lesson in that. Whereas you're being forced to learn something which is not in your own interest to begin with. Like some of the stuff, like I question it. Like, why am I learning this? Like, I'm never going to be a scientist. I'm never going to be a mathematician. Like, so if you figure out and this child is good at certain things, test them on that, level of their interest. So give them tests on certain stuff, and then you'll discover that, okay, this child is really good in this or that. So test them in the beginning, and then let that be the lesson for them.
Let them follow that path.
Yeah.
Would you ever open up a school?
I think every day is a school, right? I mean, this right now, what we're doing is almost like a lesson for us. We're being tested and being pushed.
Yeah. So a lot of times we know why we want something or why we're looking for something, but we focus on the how, which sometimes limits us. Why is that people are focused on the how?
Very good question, because if I tell you to do something and you've never done before, you're now thinking in your head, like, how am I going to do that if I've never done this before? But if you change that up and say why I'm doing this, what I'm doing, and why am I pursuing this career or whatever interest I have, the right people will show up in your life. Like the way I even got the studio, like I wasn't thinking about how am I going to open a studio one day. It's like, why do I want to do this for a living? Why video production? Why content creation? Why have a studio? I didn't say how, because the how became irrelevant at that point, because I was like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm enjoying this. I just want to keep doing this. And the more I did it, the more things start lining up for me. And then the more doors opened up. So, I mean, some were closed, but I didn't look back, right? I'm always looking forward. It's a wider perspective than looking back in your rearview mirror. So I never steered away from my vision and my path. So I stayed in my lane. And then sure enough, one thing led to another. And this is where synchronicity started happening in my life. The right people came in my life. I mean, look at how we met as well, right? So it's proof. Like I don't have to think about it anymore. It's like, it's weird. Like I just know it, and then I just follow my instinct.
It's just happening, right?
Yeah.
I think, again, that's just the craziest instance where you're Tony Robbinsing someone in the gym on the phone.
Yeah.
And I woke up thinking, I need to make something happen right now in regards to something to help people achieve
Yeah.
their goals. And we crossed paths. It was perfect. And I feel like I was able to witness you live your life that way. And I think I'm starting to grasp the letting
So
go, you know?
you connect the dots now for yourself,
Yeah.
and then it's that butterfly effect. There's so many versions of ourselves, right? So there's a version of me depressed, living my parents' basement in my 20s, and I'm probably going the wrong path and ended up somewhere else in my life. There's a version of me where I didn't take my relationship seriously. I didn't drive all the way to Montreal to visit my wife, well, my wife now, but girlfriend at the time. I never put that into my reality. And maybe I said, oh, it's too far. It's not worth it. So now that version of me is doing something else. A version of me is like, I don't want to get into this industry. It's too hard. It's hard work. I don't want to do video production. And so there's a version of me doing something else. So the point where I'm trying to say is I stuck to my lane. I stuck to what my vision was. And it was clear enough for me where things start appearing for me to take action, right? I still had to take action, right? Things didn't just land in my lap. I mean, you still have to meet something halfway for it to come towards you as well, right? You have to take the steps towards something that you're pursuing. And every day we wake up, we have a chance to choose which direction we're going to go. It's like the same way of driving. I could pick the highway to come here, or I've taken the inside roads, or there's many ways to arriving to this location. But I chose the one that felt more comfortable for me, or it was like in my decision making. So I stuck to that, focused on why.
What's your why?
Oh, to make a difference, right? In this world. Deep down, it's everyone's purpose.
Yeah.
Like, why is the sun existing? Right? To give light, to give life. Why are we existing? To contribute to that reality. Why do plants exist? Why do trees exist?
Everything in this world is here almost in service, you know.
Yeah,
so
it's
role.
service for this place. It's not by accident. I can take it to the deeper level, and if that means if it was by accident, then how many more accidents are we experiencing to get this right? If that's the case, which I don't think that's the case.
I think
We're giving that free will to make that choice. What you do with that is up to you.
that's what I always said. But I feel like if you and I have seen and definitely believe that in the world with synchronicities, you catch heat and you're seeing everything. Thoughts are flowing, money's coming, numbers, everything like is clicking. And the craziest thing, like Trisha's,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? Like all these like
Random.
we know it's not on accident.
No.
This is for a meaning. So if that's not on accident, then it must go so that the things even greater, like the creation of Earth, can't be on accident either.
I mean, the signs are there that for me to say it's not an accident. It's by divine design, right?
That flows.
Yeah.
That's a good podcast name too.
And divine design. Maybe that when we
Yeah. Shift gears.
yeah. All right, I
But
think that was
That's
good.
good.
Man.
Rise and shine.
Rise and shine.
Rise and shine. That's the
Rise
the
and
key
shine,
takeaway.
everyone. Rise and shine.
Rise and shine. All right.
All right.
Clap.
Thank you.
There you go.